Good morning, everybody. Kelly Ashby here with Kelly Ashby Consulting. Today, I'm going to be going a little bit more into detail about some of those best practices for nonprofit boards. I gave you a little kind of a teaser commercial about this, and now I want to go a little bit more into more detail about each one of these. So let me get my slide pulled up here so that we can walk through some of this information. Today, I'm going to focus on just a couple of these. The first two, I'm going to be taking a deeper look at board structure. And when I capitalize B on board, capital B board, I mean the body of the board functioning as the oversight group. And when I use small b for board member responsibilities, I'm really talking about the individual representation. So let's take a look at the two of these: board structure and its responsibilities compared to board, small b, board member responsibilities, and then the decision-making authority of both of those, including in addition, the executive director. So let's take a look at my design here, or what my framework is. So I am using Simon Sinek's Golden Circle framework when I'm outlining this. This helps me organize kind of, those lanes of authority and who's responsible for what and who has authority for what. And so if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's Golden Circle framework, you know that we start with why. And the why has to do with the purpose of the organization. What does this community and its constituencies need from this organization in the long term, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? And what does this organization need in order to achieve those goals, whether that's human resources or financial resources or any other kinds of resources to achieve those? So the board, capital B, is responsible and has authority for some of that planning as it relates to what are those goals and what are those measurables to achieve those goals, so we know whether or not we're on track to hit those goals and achieve those goals, but even giving some input as to maybe some of the strategies and programs and events that might go into making sure that we achieve those goals. So another way to think about this is, what does the board, capital B, how is it functioning at this point in time? Well, it's really functioning in a governing or a governance kind of role. And when it's functioning as a body in that governance role, it might be looking and responsible for such things as the finances, making sure that the organization is, following all the laws and legal stipulations for functioning and doing what it needs to do as an organization. Might even be responsible, or actually is responsible, for hiring the executive director, supervising the executive director, and that type of thing. So in this particular case, and it's a great article in the Blue Avocado by Jan Masako, and talks about when the board, capital B, is functioning in this way, it's really bringing the community needs and the community voice to the organization. So the constituencies' voices, as well as the community's voices, to the organization in order to set those goals and move the needle in as far as achieving those particular goals. Now, the next ring has to do with the how, and the how is the process. So in some organizations, this person might be the executive director. Even in others, I've seen the title of CEO, depending on the kind of organization that this happens to be. So the how has to do with the process. In other words, how will the organization achieve those long-term goals through its work in the short term? So let's say 1-year increments. And so this particular person, the executive director, really puts a lot of time and investment into thinking through those programs, events, and strategies that will lend itself and help us achieve those longer term goals. So you can see how the executive director obviously gets information from the board, capital B, but also brings information back to the capital B in the form of reporting on progress towards attaining those particular 1-year goals to make sure that everything's on track. And if things are not on track, addressing the issues, bringing the issues to the board so that they can assist in helping to address those issues. Now, the last ring has to do with the what. So the what has to do with the result. In other words, what details need to be addressed right now as it relates to pulling off those programs, events, and strategies. So this is where the staff come in. So it's really important that people on the board, capital B, understand that they shouldn't be getting into the weeds of, what kind of food should be at such and such an event. That's something that the staff should be figuring out, or what printer should be used in town in order to print the flyers for this particular event. Things like that. That should be up to the staff to figure out. They know what printers and what caterers are able to fulfill the responsibilities, or not fulfill the responsibilities, but fulfill the needs for that particular event and program. So you can see that hopefully you can see that there's some division here. Now, the other thing I want to point out, I talked about governance as far as the B capital board. Well, when board members are functioning as an advisory or support, meaning small b, I'm functioning as an individual, I happen to have, let's say, and my expertise is in accounting, for example, and I think this particular accounting software program is fantastic. Well, I want to share that with the business person in this organization. When I'm functioning in that way, I'm not giving directive to that person that you have to take on this software program and utilize this software program. I'm just sharing information, perhaps serving as a mentor type of role. The other thing is, when small b board members are functioning, think of it as more of a support and advisory kind of role. So maybe they're volunteering at an event. In this case, the staff of the organization, they are the boss, and the board member, small b, should be taking their direction from the staff member. So sometimes it's the board members that aren't clear about these divisions, but also it's sometimes the staff member that don't understand who's in charge at these particular things, who has the authority to make the decision. So it's a matter of educating your board members about this, perhaps during an onboarding process, but it's also about educating your staff members so that everybody is clear about who's the boss in these different situations. I hope that helps kind of clear some of that stuff up as far as board member responsibilities, capital B versus small b, but also some decision-making authority. If it has to do with finances, big picture planning, legal oversight, supervision of the executive director, governance types of things, it's big board, big B board. And when it's serving as a support or advisory type of role as an individual, I'm showing up, that means that I'm showing up in a support and advisory type of role. If you need any help with this with your particular board, please give me a call. My contact information is on the slide here. This is Kelly Ashby with Kelly Ashby Consulting. Have a great day.